Not religious people, what do you think happens after death? Please like and subscribe to support this channel. Absolutely nothing. And that's what great about it. Instead of thinking maybe I did good enough here for a reward afterwards, there is nothing. So every second counts. Every single day, every moment. So have fun, chase whatever makes you tick. Don't spend time in places you hate or with people who bring you down. So take advantage of your time, learn, teach, help, accept help. It can end any moment and that's it, it ends. I'm in my late 40s, so hopefully a while to go yet. 4 kids aged 17 to 22. Wonderful wife, we just celebrated 24th anniversary. My wife is Catholic, I'm atheist. I will cease to exist, but the world and universe will continue. My children will continue and I think they will lead good lives. They are all on course to do well. I will not have any deep regrets about how I lived my life. I will regret not witnessing the milestones in my descendants' lives. Whichever milestones are approaching at the time. Maybe marriage of future grandchildren or birth of first great-grandchild. Or maybe it will happen suddenly before my first grandchild is born. Currently I am fit and healthy, enjoy long bike rides. Maybe when the time comes my body will be failing and it will be a relief, but I don't expect to welcome it, but hope I will accept it. I would hate to abandon my wife too young though, we are happy. Consciousness is, as far as we can tell, a combination of electrical and chemical processes in the brain. We know that TBIs cause permanent changes in personality, and also manifest in physical changes like paralysis, organ failure, seizures and the like, so we know that the brain is the seat of consciousness, and is enabled and supported by these electrical and chemical processes. We also know that during the process of death, all electrical signals cease, along with chemical processes. Within minutes, brain cells start dying. Once the structure that supports consciousness can no longer support it, well, you just cease to exist. There's no evidence of a soul. There's no evidence of an afterlife. There's only evidence that once you're dead, that's it. You came from nothing, you return to nothing. But the physical you, your body, endures. Even after you're buried or burnt. The atoms that composed your body will eventually be recycled into the environment. Some of these atoms will make their way into the food cycle, and will eventually become part of some creature or other's body, maybe even another human. In 5 billion years, all your atoms, that by that time may have been through hundreds of creatures, will be spread among the stars when the sun sheds its outer layers. Perhaps in time these atoms will form a new star, and the cycle will continue. We really are all made from stars. Probably nothing. You won't be able to perceive anything, so it just nothingness. It is quite difficult to communicate the lack of everything because language was made to describe things that exist, not what doesn't, i.e. abstract things. Whether something happens after death or not, I'm all for it. I do not fear death, pain however. Yeah, pain hurts. Definitely gonna be scared of the pain of death, but not anxious of what or if anything happens afterwards. In a way, you are immortal, or close to it. The atoms in your body don't cease to exist. They can be reincorporated into plants, animals, dirt, all kinds of things. Eventually when the earth is consumed by the sun, those remaining particles will be part of a nebula. Still part of the universe. Maybe eventually they'll be part of a new solar system somewhere. Maybe even life. Who knows, the protons from your body could be part of an alien in 100 billion years. It doesn't comfort me, I like being alive and dying scares me. But it's pretty cool to think about. I hope reincarnation. I read a book once, years ago, from a man who claimed he could have out-of-the-body experiences at will, and told of his journeys. I don't expect it to be true, but it sounded interesting enough that I wouldn't mind. He said we were all just experiencing our lives like playing a character in a game, and once this body dies we would return to our true state and get the option to live another such life. Whatever happens after death, I am curious to find out, but definitely not in a hurry. And if death is really the end, I will try to get the most out of this life just in case. Okay, for a long time I thought nothing would happen after I die. I would cease to exist. But recently I've been having a different perspective. So some physicists believe that the nature of time is not as we perceive it. We perceive time as a linear cause and effect. However, in reality it's most likely that all of time is in fact happening at once. Past, the future and the present are all one instant moment. If time is not linear, then before I was born and after I die are when I do not exist. However, all the time in which I'm alive still exists within that instantaneous moment. What that means for my consciousness or my perception, I don't know. But since after I'm dead my perception of time will no longer be based on biological impetus, it's possible, in my mind, that my consciousness will be retained within the portion of existence in which I was alive. I won't be able to observe this portion, in fact every moment will remain the same, but my consciousness will exist there regardless. Reincarnation, but not in a religious sense, and here's why. I believe that life force is real, like energy that can't be replicated by any type of science. Since everything physical on Earth, like plants, animals, rocks, air, etc., all recycles back and forth throughout all of Earth's history, it only makes sense that our energy would too. At least to me. I don't believe new energy can be made, because 100% new doesn't exist, it's just reforming of old material resembling something else. They pull you out of the machine and unhook the stuff from your brain and, suddenly, you remember everything. I mean, everything, that is. You are an immortal being and you know all the secrets of the universe, Big Bang, multiple dimensions, and all that. Which means, of course, that existence is pure boredom, and that's why you got in the machine, for the 1000th time, to begin with, because it's really the only way to experience anything: pain, joy, heartbreak, love, fear, etc. So you chill out, spend a few days meditating on your most recent life. And during this time all your friends and associates are coming out of the machines and you're like, oh, that was you. Because a lot of your crew goes through the same life as you. Which is why you meet people and you feel like you've known them forever, and you'll be like, I can't believe we got married again. We tried to poison each other just a couple of lives ago. So you hang out a while, catch up with everyone, and then you're once again stuck with all the knowledge of the universe, and eventually you'll get back into the machine. Then it's a big decision, like, do you want to be born into wealth and luxury, or do you want something more challenging like being a farmer that eventually storms the beach on D-Day? So, you decide, climb into the machine and start again. This is why you can't remember the first year and a half of your life. The machine is wiping out your memory and calibrating your brain. I had a kid in my Sunday school class that I was teaching say that death is like going to sleep and not dreaming and just emptiness. It scared me as the teacher, because how do you pivot from that? And then I realized she was probably right. Living this life for the promise of the next is a terrible way to live, so I left the church. I am now a hospice nurse. I help people die better. At peace and comfortable. I was always kind of thinking that nothing really happens and that your energy is redistributed. The whole cannot be created or destroyed scenario. However, after working in combat and spending a lot of time alone in jungle environments, I think some part of you continues on. I have seen a lot of things that have no other explanation than some sort of spirit thing going on. There have also been many times where I just knew something without knowing it, and it ended up preventing me from meeting an untimely fate. I don't know if it was some type of spirit protecting me or what, but it wasn't coincidence and I have no other explanation. There have just been too many times where Lady Luck gave me the winning numbers, so to speak. In short, I think your collective energy stays together in a way that is similar to who you are as a person and goes somewhere, or maybe stays. I dunno, I think there is a next chapter, but I don't think there are pearly gates and a scorecard to count up. I don't know. That's honestly one of the only things that has kept me from offing myself in the past. It could be worse after death. If it's better? Well, if we go somewhere better, then at least there will eventually be a relief from this earthly suffering. Through that perspective, I can reason with myself to just wait this existence out, because no matter how bad it gets, I can always quit and go to a place of bliss earlier than originally scheduled if necessary. Looking at the afterlife as a place of neutrality, that is still a promise that there will be an end to our earthly pains. So looking at it through that lens, it's also much easier to convince myself to stick with it. I sometimes entertain the thought of reincarnation, which I would classify as a neutral, next phase of life after one's human death if it were indeed the typical progression. I'm sane and aware in the here and now that there is no scientific proof of reincarnation, so don't get at me lol. If we cease entirely after death, then whilst there is no point to any of our suffering here on earth, it will also, at the least, end. The torment will be no longer, and even in being turned to nothing, there will still be a dissipation of all energy, and thus all pain. But I cannot know. And so if I had to summarize what I think about what happens after death with one sentence or phrase, I'd go with, death is an adventure we do not choose, and yet it chooses every one of us. Just be prepared for a surprise destination, and become comfortable with the understanding that you won't know how you're getting there until you are already on the way. I recently watched Midnight Mass on Netflix, and this question was asked during the show, and the following monologue was performed by Zach Gilford, but it's what I've always tried to put into words. When I die, my body stops functioning. Shut down. All at once, or gradually, my breathing stops, my heart stops beating. Clinical death. And a bit later, like 5 whole minutes later, my brain cells start dying. But in the meantime, in between, maybe my brain releases a flood of DMT. It's the psychedelic drug released when we dream, so I dream. I dream bigger than I have ever dreamed before because it's all of it, just the last dump of DMT all at once. And my neurons are firing and I'm seeing this fireworks display of memories and imagination. And I am just tripping. I mean really tripping balls because my mind's rifling through the memories. You know, long and short term, and the dreams mix with the memories, and it's a curtain call. The dream to end all dreams. One last great dream as my mind empties the fucking missile silos and then I stop. My brain activity ceases and there is nothing left of me. No pain. No memory, no awareness that I ever was, that I ever hurt someone, that I ever killed someone. Everything is as it was before me. And the electricity disperses from my brain till it's just dead tissue. Meat. Oblivion. And all the other little things that make me up, the microbes and bacterium and the billion other little things that live on my eyelashes and in my hair and in my mouth and on my skin and in my gut and everywhere else, they just keep on living and eating. And I'm serving a purpose. I'm feeding life, and I'm broken apart and all the littlest pieces of me are just recycled, and I'm billions of other places. And my atoms are in plants and bugs and animals, and I am like the stars that are in the sky. They're one moment and then just scattered across the goddamn cosmos. It's a meaningless thought exercise. We didn't exist for who knows how long. Before the Big Bang, relatively speaking, it could have been trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of years before anything happened. Say you do well and live to 100 plus. You're dead for literally an infinite amount of time. You're just gone. You're not aware of anything anymore. 1 second after death will be the same as infinity.